Hello, this video you will find the directions for your persuasive speech. I would get something to write with and write on, as you will need to take notes so you know everything that you need to do for this speech. This is our biggest speech of the year. It is worth 130 points, just like the informative, but I do grade this one the hardest. I consider this our final speech. I use this one for the last part of my assessment, and it's the last time that we will use the rubric that we've been using all semester long. So I grade this one the hardest. So please make sure you have everything you know you need to have in this speech. Nothing has changed. I'm not adding any requirements. The rubric is the same. It is the same as everything we've been doing all semester long. I just grade it harder. So let me go over the basics with this. It is a persuasive speech. We'll talk about topics in a minute. It is 4 to 6 minutes. You need to make sure you are in the time limit, 4 to 6 minutes. You have to have a visual aid with this. You have to have a PowerPoint with this or some multimedia presentation. If you want to use Prezi, if you're familiar with that, you can do that. The requirements for it are the same as the informative speech, 5 to 7 slides, and make sure that you follow all of those requirements that we did for the informative. So those are the same. You have to have that interaction with it, so I'm not upping the requirement at all for this. Just know you have to have a visual aid, a multimedia presentation, just like you did with the informative. You do have research with this speech. It's just like the informative, except that this time you have 2 sources. You must properly cite them at the end of your plan page, and you must attribute your source in your speech, each source one time, just like the informative. According to, and then give your quote, your statistic, whatever it is. You have to do that twice. So 2 sources, you have to attribute that source, each source one time. That equals a total of 2. And if you don't have it, you don't get any points on that aspect of your rubric. So make sure you have that. That is very, very important. So if you have any questions, let me know, but just make sure that you have that research component in there. All right, so the persuasive speech. What do you give this speech about? What must be persuasive? You are arguing for or against something. It must have 2 sides to it, and you're going to argue why your side of the issue is better. So for example, you could not do something like texting and driving. We all know we shouldn't text and drive. Some of us text and drive, and we know that the implications of that could be negative. You can't argue that there could be any positive implications that come from texting and driving. So that would be an example of a topic that only has one side to it, so you're arguing a moot point there. Same thing with drinking and driving. We all know drinking and driving is bad. There is not one person out there who can, yay, for drunk driving, we should all drive drunk. No, nobody is going to say that. So you cannot argue something like that that only has one side. I've had people before say, I want to do child abuse, how we should not do it. Well, we all know child abuse is bad. There's not any advocates out there saying, no, we should all abuse our children and that makes them better people. I'm not talking about spanking. I'm talking about actual child abuse. Same thing with animal abuse or neglect. Those are things you cannot argue. So, and some other topics that you can't do. Let's talk about ones that you need to stay away from. I don't allow abortion at all, so don't do that. It's too cliched. A lot of topics are cliched. The death penalty, gun control, all of the topics that are pertaining to that are very, very cliched. So you want to stay away from those very cliched topics. You have to have a reason, a credibility. You're going to put that credibility statement in your introduction. Like all of our other speeches, you have to have that. So you're going to put that credibility statement in your intro, but you can't just pick a topic just to pick it. It needs to be something that you really care about or you really like. You have to have a really good reason for wanting to give this speech. I only allow one topic per class, meaning that if somebody picked topic 1, I'd only let topic 1 be done that one time. That is why it is a requirement that you get this speech topic approved. There is a form, and you must get this topic approved. So I will be responding, so go in, see what your classmates are doing, and see input what you want to do, and I'll either say yay or nay on it. So make sure that you go and do that. So make sure that you're picking something that you can argue, that does have opposing sides to it, because you will want to address those opposing sides. That adds to your credibility. Remember, we talked about the rhetorical triangle. We've been talking a lot about that this semester, and this is one it's going to be very important that you get all aspects of the rhetorical triangle in your speech. Pathos is going to be big with this. Remember, I gave that lesson. So the pathos was what compels people to act, and that's what you're going to want people to do. You're going to want them to think differently, to go and do something, to change their beliefs. So you're going to accomplish that through all sides of the rhetorical triangle, but really having heavy pathos with this, and you can really do that with an introduction. So keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be anything controversial, but it just has to be something that has two sides. The example that your book has, and I've actually seen it in person, is adopting an animal from an animal shelter and not, say, one of those, quote, puppy mills. That's really not all that controversial, but it is something that has two sides. I've seen people being for and against being a foster parent. There are definitely two sides with that, and I've seen very good speeches go both ways with that. So and being a foster parent is not a controversial subject, but it does have two sides. There are people who think, yes, that's a good, and other people, especially I've had people who have been a foster parent before and have argued that you shouldn't do it, and pulled off very good speeches with that. So again, that's just an example of something that's not controversial but does have two sides to it. So we can't do anything with religion. Legalizing marijuana, I just don't want to hear it. It is very cliched, so just stay away from that. So no abortion, nothing with religion, no legalizing marijuana. And I also will not allow you to be against gay marriage, but I will let you be for it. And that's not letting you in on my views. It's not because I disagree with anything. It is simply because I don't want it to offend anybody. And before, I have allowed it, and it has come off as a gay bashing, and it was highly insensitive. And right after that student went, I had somebody get up who, she was a gay person and was doing her speech for gay rights, and I was very embarrassed for her, and I know that was probably really, really hurt her feelings because it offended me. And so I never want my students to be offended, and that is a topic that can be very abrasive, and it really can come off as like a gay bashing. And so my reasons for that are simply because I'm trying to protect you and being not offended. So if you have any issues with that, I would be more than happy to talk with you more in depth about it. But my reasons are just I don't want anybody to be offended with that, and that one is too easily offended. You can too easily offend somebody with being against that. So that's my reasons for that. There could be other topics as well that could be too offensive for purposes of this assignment and in a classroom setting at a college campus, and that is why I have you get your topics approved. So make sure that you do go in there, post your topic ideas, and why. I need to know why. Why do you want to give this topic or this speech over this topic? I need to know that. So just make sure you think really hard about things that you can relate to. So I've seen students be for homeschooling who have been homeschooled. I've seen students be against homeschooling, as long as you have that reason. Again, that's not controversial. It's just an issue that has two sides to it. Take the topic smoking, for example. People shouldn't smoke. Well, we all know that. We all know that we should not smoke. Even people who smoke know that we should not smoke. So that is, again, another example of a topic that only has one side to it. You cannot deny that smoking is bad for you and that it has health risks and it doesn't have any health benefits to it. You can't argue that people should be healthy. We all know that. We should all eat better and exercise. People may not do it, but you can't argue that it would be better for you. And so I'm bringing up all of these topics that you can't do just because I see these a lot and people wanting to argue these things, and it has to be something that has two sides to it. Do not go forth with this assignment without getting your topic approved, because I would hate for you to go through and write this entire speech and then me tell you that it's not a topic that's suitable for this class and for this assignment. So please get your topic approved, post it in the forum so everybody can see what is being done. So I will put the due dates up. The days that you will give your speech will be in Moodle. So just check back. Make sure you're there on time. Same rules apply. Don't come in late. Cell phones off. You can use 2 note cards with this. 2 of the little 3x5 note cards. You can use 2 of those. Just don't read it. This is the end of the semester. Very last speech. So you guys should know exactly what speech day is like. You should know what I expect and what is on the rubric that you should be doing. So I need everybody to go one right after the other, so it's very quick, so you get done in time. Do those peer reviews. After you're finished with the peer review, just pile them up on the desk. If somebody actually would pick them up and take them and just put them in my mailbox, you can staple them all together and just put them in my mailbox. I would really appreciate that. If you'd staple them together first, in case there's other classes in there, I can keep them all together. I would really appreciate that. And then I'll have somebody come and bring those to me. I'm going to be grading your speeches. I will grade them just like I always do. It's just going to be a little bit different through a camera, like I'm giving this lesson. Instead of giving this lesson in person, I'm giving this lesson, through a camera, and you guys are watching it. So just because I'm not there doesn't mean that I'm not here to help you. So put your questions in Moodle, email me, and post your topic to the forum. So here's just a very brief rundown. Persuasive speech. Topic must have 2 sides to it. You must have 2 sources. Properly cite them at the end of your speech or end of your plan page, and make sure you attribute your sources in your speech, so twice, according to and according to. I don't care where you put them, but you have to attribute your sources in your speech. You have to have the visual aid, 5 to 7 slides. You can use Prezi, any sort of multimedia presentation. Make sure that you follow all the rules set forth for that in the informative speech, because they're the same. Make sure you hit that 4 to 6 minute marker, and the rubric is the same. Everything that I'm looking for is the same. I'm just going to be a little bit harsher on it. So make sure you have your intro with your credibility statement. Relate it to the audience. Very clear central idea. Have those focused key points. I would have 3 to 4 key points with this and no more than 4. 3 to 4 key points with very clear transitions, and then have your conclusion that wraps it up. Make sure you have that interaction with your PowerPoint. Make sure you play it from the beginning so it fills up the whole screen, and pull the mouse out so you don't have to go behind it. You cannot give the speech behind the computer, and just stand out there and give your speech, and make sure you interact with your PowerPoint and point to it, reference it, things of that nature. So I'm here to help, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate, but I hope to see your topics you start posting those in Moodle, and let's get started on it. We'll see you later. Bye.